Hi everybody! After watching Sorceress and noticing that it reused the soundtrack from Battle Beyond the Stars, I felt it unduly gets a lot of hate. Making music's tough. You have to get a group together, learn the music, practice until you get blisters upon blisters, upon blisters. And even then, all it takes is one weird note to become infamous. So it makes sense that some people would want to bypass this entirely, and just reuse something proven. Even in Hollywood. These are 5 movies that recycled soundtracks. Up first, let's start with something KickAss. KickAss. During a scene where Big Daddy goes on a rampage against various mobsters, it's set to a pulse-pounding soundtrack that gives an impression of primal life or death. And if you feel uneasy watching it, maybe it's because you remembered it from... That's right, zombie classic 28 Days Later, during the scene where main character Jim unleashes his inner beast on some soldiers. This wasn't the only recycling of a soundtrack in KickAss, and while the former was at least similar in narrative, this one, not so much. During a scene where the protagonist is rescued from an execution by Hit Girl, the scene perfectly scores with a track from sci-fi thriller Sunshine called, spoilers, Kaneda's Death. Both scenes, despite narrative differences, are beautifully done, which is a testament to an amazing piece of music. Up next, we cover a slightly lighter subject. Ritualistic suicide! 1985's Mishima tells the real-life story of Japanese writer Yukio Mishima and the march to his failed coup of the Japanese government, leading to him committing seppuku when the people he tried to incite to rise laughed in his face. The movie begins with a track by Philip Glass, setting the tone for a visually and audibly pleasing study in the nature of masculinity. But most of the world knows this song from not the beginning of the movie, but rather the end. And if you can't quite tell what it is, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. That's right, The Truman Show. Though, in a sense, this is the beginning of Truman's journey. So perhaps it still fits. Coming in next, we have the music everyone has heard, but no one knows where it comes from. If you saw any movie trailers in the late 90s, you would have heard this piece from 1994's skydiving action flick Drop Zone, which takes place during a parachute rescue. But did you know this wasn't the first movie to have this stinger? If you change the tempo slightly, and add some African chanting, you get Our Childhoods. Unshockingly, both soundtracks were done by Hans Zimmer, who, while an amazing composer, has a habit of reusing themes from time to time. Speaking of which, it's time to pick on Craig Armstrong. 1999's Plunkett and McClain tells the story of 2 gentlemen bandits, and features a haunting hybrid of classical and electronic music to create a soundtrack that was also used in every movie trailer from the late 90s. During the climactic hanging scene of one of the protagonists, he is marched to the gallows while a haunting dirge plays. All seems lost until something awesome happens. Sadly, not a lot of people saw this movie, and this good a soundtrack doesn't deserve to fade into obscurity. So when 2007's Elizabeth the Golden Age needed a theme for the gorgeous but way too symbolic destruction of the Spanish Armada, well, slow it down a little bit and add some children singing, and you get... Lastly, we're going to go a bit further back, to an old Irish song called Garryowen, which was a popular tune amongst 19th century military units, most famously Custer's 7th Cavalry. In popular culture, it was featured heavily in 1941's Errol Flynn vehicle, They Died With Their Boots On, which told a very Hollywood version of the life of Custer. But what happens when the public mindset changes, and the acts of someone once seen as heroic are viewed under a different light? 1970's Little Big Man features Custer in a different light. The song that was so upbeat and jaunty is repurposed for use to score a horrific massacre of a Native American village, thereby using the same tune, but producing completely new emotions. And if you can change 100 years of history in one scene, then you're impressive as all get out. And that's all for now. Do you have any favorite recycled or similar soundtracks? Leave them in the comments below. And gently push that subscribe button while you're at it. Heck, leave a like if you're so inclined. Thanks for watching. Stay sane and safe, and keep an ear out. You might just like what you hear.